So, all right, this next segment, go ahead and bring DJ Busy up. We're gonna get it in, right? So I get the pleasure of introducing these three brothers right here individually. I am a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. 1111906. Shout out to the bros out there, everybody that's watching. Everybody's part of the D9 as well. So I'm gonna introduce this first brother. College with him, man, and I'm just so proud of his growth, seeing what he's doing. Everybody, please shake those keys. Get a round of applause for brother Nathaniel Stewart. Yeah, how you feeling? All right, let's get to it. This next up, this brother right here, man, distinguished gentleman right here. I know he's gonna drop some keys for you guys. Everybody, give it up for my brother, Luke Bedlam. Y'all ready? Let's go. All right. Last but certainly not least, this is a brother with a doctorate. Y'all heard me. A brother with a doctorate, all right? Everybody, please shake your keys. Give it up for brother Curtis Walker Jr. Appreciate you, DJ. I got 15 minutes with my brothers right here. And honestly, we need a whole Keys to Black Wealth, just Alpha Phi Alpha edition, because we got a lot to say. We got a lot of brothers, that's doing great things in the community. But we're going to get it in with these three right here. And we'll talk about a future event, just all alphas, all right? So, hey, first real quick, 30 seconds or less, just tell the people who you are, what you do, just what you do in the community. So we'll start with you, Nate.
Yep. So my name is Nathaniel Stewart. I am the Senior Director of Special Projects for an organization called Urgent Care Specialists. In the community, I serve as the chair of a Voteless People as a Hopeless People, which we'll be talking about a little bit more here today.
All right, go ahead, Luke.
Yes, sir. So first of all, thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. Great to be here. My name is Luke Fedlam, and I'm a partner at a law firm that's headquartered in Columbus, Ohio. I lead our firm's sports law practice, working with individual professional athletes. And in the community, I currently serve as the chapter president for Alpha Rho Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
All right, Mr. Walker.
All right, good afternoon, my people. Curtis Walker. I'm actually a data governance analyst and project manager for healthcare, and also the director of educational activities for the Alpha Rho Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated in Columbus, Ohio.
What did you do last time with you, Barry? Hey, 1 second, my brothers. 1 second. All right, I got cut out. We was having some technical difficulties.
Okay, so it's the three of us. What's up, world? They left us to our own devices. Watch out. Who knows what's gonna happen with this?
Beam me up.
Beam me up. I can't leave y'all by yourself, all right? I gotta ask the questions, all right? So these are technical difficulties, but I'm back, all right? So I'm gonna start with a general question. I know we have our program of Voteless People as a Hopeless People. We're gonna get into that. But why is voting still important? Because we developed that program a long time ago, and it's still today. Why is that still important? And I want to do a round table. So go ahead, Luke, we'll start with you, and then go from there.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. The Alphas started Voteless People as a Hopeless People back in the 1930s. And really a big part of that was overcoming kind of the Jim Crow laws that we as Black people experienced in terms of barriers constantly being put up to prevent us from voting. But when you look at it over time, those barriers have just changed. It's not like they've disappeared, right? So we see voter suppression. We see acts that are specifically designed to stop people in our communities from casting their vote. And so that's why, you know, even to this day, voteless people is hopeless people is critical. It really is not just registering people to vote, not just educating people on why and you know why they should vote, but getting them to the polls and helping them understand how to navigate this world where so many people want to keep our votes down and keep us suppressed.
Powerful, powerful. Nate, Kurt, you guys want to add to that? You're on mute, Nate.
Sorry about that. Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Brother President was saying, look at the tactics that we're seeing. I mean, a program that was established in the 1930s, I mean, almost nearly 100 years ago, are still very, very relevant. The efforts that we make in terms of education, registration, mobilization are still very relevant to today. And we're, in 2020? And the tactics just look different, but they're still tactics that are being deployed against people of color to suppress our vote. And so that's why I think it's so important what we're doing with the voteless people as a hopeless people, and that we continue to carry on this initiative. It's just disheartening to see that after 90 years of work that we still have a program that's as relevant as it is.
Yeah. Voting is essential. I second everything the brother just mentioned. And I'm glad that I hopped on just as Ms. Avery was going over the impact of your credit score and credit report. Think about all the things you can do when you focus on those two items, your credit score, your credit report. Impacts your insurance, mortgage rates, access to employment, access to retirement, emergency savings. It's so impactful. Now think about what your vote can impact your community. Funding to schools, to libraries, community services, to civil services. It's the exact same thing, but you're thinking about what your individual habits are when you're thinking about spending. You're thinking about what your individual voting habits are when you think about growing your community. And if you want something changed in your community, then you have to vote. That's just as simple as I can make it. And if you want to see the circumstances around you improve, then you have to be active civically. The census is one example. $1.5 trillion going to federal funding by showing that you are represented in a community through the census. Your 435 representatives across the United States are divvied out, allocated by your representation on the census. I mean, it's that simple. And I'm so glad the keys have been dropped on how you can impact your own personal financial circumstance. Now just think about how you want to improve your community, and it's through voting.
Brother, can I jump in on that? Yeah, because what Curtis just said, man, is so powerful. He just talked about the census. And when you think about voting and the importance of voting for our elected officials and for judges and beyond, look at what's happening right now. Right now, the current administration is trying to stop the census counting over the last couple of weeks, right? Because they say that they're not going to have enough time to put their report together. So the administration has said, stop doing the count. And so now it's gotten all the way up to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court's going to hear this case as to whether they should be able to continue to count or whether they need to stop. And when you think about that, we look at what's happening at the Supreme Court level already. So like every vote counts, man, for every judge, for every elected official, because it impacts so many aspects of our life. We're talking about census, and that's impacted even by the people that we're voting for.
Y'all going in right now, man. Y'all going in right now. Nate, give a background of the voteless people, the hopeless people. Specifically, what are we doing with that program?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Brother President touched on it. It's a program. It's a national program of Alpha. It was established in the 1930s. And it was established at that particular period in time. African Americans did have the right to vote. But during that time period, at the same time, there were a lot of tactics being deployed to prevent African Americans and people of color from voting, such as poll taxes, threats of retaliation, just lack of education about the voting process overall. And so a voteless people as a hopeless people was formed to really bring education and registration efforts around that. And I think it wasn't until the 1990s that it really started to open up and expand to more political awareness, where it started to incorporate town halls, candidacy forums. And so our efforts are still matching that today, just more modified to today's time. Right now we're living in a kind of a virtual world, so we're trying to figure out and modify our efforts, but our efforts are still there around the three major components, which is education, registration, and mobilization. And so that's where we're focusing our energy and our time and our efforts in those three areas.
Man, that's great. That's great. I'm gonna throw this to Luke and Curtis right here, though. Just talk about what history does A Phi A fraternity have when it comes to voting and voter engagement, and why it's important to vote the entire ballot as well.
Yeah, so I mean, Alpha has, obviously you've heard about it, this long history of engaging, of trying to, register people to vote, to educate people around the importance of the voting process, and ultimately and truly to help mobilize people to get to the polls and to actually get out and cast their vote. It's one thing to register, but it means absolutely nothing if you don't actually go to the ballot box and cast your vote. But in terms of the entire ticket, I kind of touched upon it earlier. And if we think about this from the perspective of truly keys to Black wealth, when you vote the entire ticket, you're voting for people like county auditor, right? Who's going to determine your home that you own, what its assessed value is, right? So it's going to determine what your property tax is and money coming out of your pocket. You're going to vote for county commissioners, right? Or depending on where you live, whatever that structure is, of people who are deciding how funds within your community are being allocated and spent on things that are important to you and to our community. You're voting on judges who have an impact every single day on our community. So voting the entire ticket, listen, we all know the lightning rod that is the presidential election. We got that, right? I mean, that is hammered in every single day. But what's so critically important is to take the time to understand who else is on the ballot where you are, where you live, what issues, right, are being raised, what levies are being raised, what taxes are being raised on, various issues. Here in Franklin County, Ohio, we've got we're dealing with an issue around a civilian review board for our police department and getting that written into the Constitution, that there's oversight on the police coming from the community. I mean, these issues are critically important. So you can't just stop at the president. I get that. We gotta vote how we gotta vote. But you also have to understand, man, there's a lot of other important things on the ballot that we got to take a few minutes to educate ourselves on and be prepared to make a change.
I'm so glad Luke mentioned the issues that are local. Politics is local. That's how you see the movement on a day-to-day basis. What Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has been able to do is position itself to partner with other organizations to really amplify its impact. So that's the National Association of Advancement of Colored People. It's the National Urban League. It's partnering to have public issues forums, to have candidates go in front of the community and talk about how they're accountable for the offices that they hold. It's talking about how what is on their platform is actually going to be executed so that it has an impact on the daily lives and experiences of those in the Black community. And it's really providing a forum for you to see, all right, so how do I make a demand? How do I express what my grievance is in terms of what changes I want to see in the community? And how do I put a face to a role to see how that can actually be changed? So it's the fraternity is able to take that platform and really to bring people to the table so that they can engage with the community and the community can actually voice what their opinions and what their experiences are.
Man, I'm biased, man. I'm gonna give y'all like 30 more minutes, to just keep going with these keys. But I got people behind like, hey, it's time to wrap up. So I want you guys to do this for me, though. Let's have a meeting and let's see how we can have one of these longer segments and just do something strictly about voting, and because you guys are dropping keys that I think everybody needs to know, so that we can do like maybe an hour and a half type of thing here in the future. So do that for me. But I want you guys to give the attendees your last final keys, how they can contact you, where they can find you at, and anything that they may need to take away from that platform of the voteless people to hopeless people.
Sure. So I'll go first. Go ahead.
Yeah, we'll go with the youngest to the oldest. I don't know who the oldest, but I know who the youngest is.
I know if it's paying deference, so I was gonna sit back a little bit.
First order.
Okay. So Nathaniel Stewart, you can find me on Instagram at NateStew_. You can also find me on Facebook at Nathaniel Stewart. I think the biggest focus of where you can get additional information on voting is at Alpha Columbus. On Instagram, you can follow us at Alpha Columbus, and also our website, Alpha Columbus as well, .com. So check out our website. The one thing that I will leave with you in terms of a reminder, a gem that you can take away, is vote, and vote early. Do not wait to vote. Do not wait until November 3rd to cast your ballot. That is not election day. Election day starts at the beginning of the early voting period, whatever that is defined in your state. For us here in Central Ohio, that's October 6th. So October 6th, voting, the early voting period started for us. So make sure you get out, you cast your ballots, you make your voice heard, because this is the way that we create a space at the table for ourselves. And so we can't keep talking about it. And this is what the program is really at the root core of, is making sure that we actually mobilize and create a space for ourselves.
Keys, my brother, Keys.
Curtis
I don't know
Walker.
who the second, I don't know who the oldest is.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop in. I'm gonna show deference to the president. Curtis Walker Jr. at Gmail, or Curtis Walker on Facebook. I would just say this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. People have been at this forever. In terms of the barriers that are put in place that take us off of our path to make changes in our local as well as the national level. But keep your heart about you and just stay focused. Link up with other groups that are like-minded and want to support your efforts. And also think of voting in terms of it being a right and a opportunity to really engage in the society that you want. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to realize the things that, in terms of you dream about, things that you have aspirations for, is being a full member of the society that you want. So be encouraged and know that we're in this fight with you. And, the tree doesn't come down, but one whack with the axe. It takes multiple strikes against that tree to bring it down. In terms of any oppositions, we're right there with you, and just stay focused.
Stay focused and keep on chopping that tree down, my brother. All right.
Right. That's right. So yeah, so again, Brother DeBerry, man, thank you for what you're doing for the community, man. This is great work, and we're honored to be a part of it today. So you can find me, Luke Fedlam. It's pretty random last name, so if you search me, you're gonna find me at Luke Fedlam on Twitter and Instagram, and Luke Fedlam on LinkedIn. And definitely you can reach out. The last thing that I'll say is take the time. Right? Like, now is the time. You've got to take the time. You can, most counties and most communities, you can search what your ballot is for what you're going to be facing when you go into the ballot box. Try to take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, go through, educate yourself on who's on the ballot all the way down, and make sure that you share those conversations with your family, with your friends, your community, and encourage them to do the same, because that's how we make long-lasting change that ultimately continues to give us that opportunity to build Black wealth and to make sure that we're represented at the highest levels of government. Thank you.
1.19.
Oh, six.
I see y'all, man. Hey, shout out to you guys. Like I said, we're gonna do something in the future, and hey, I'm proud that you guys were involved with this summit. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Sir.